All right, 6 o'clock. Hello, everybody. To all four of you, apparently. Let's see. Yeah. No, down to three. One of you already dropped. I knew it. Whatever. Anyway, this is a test. This is an attempt to try and start up a Q&A, a question and answer segment for OurHouse channel. A lot of you out there have questions that you send me all the time. Most of them have been on the Fireplace video and the wainscoting video, and I've had quite a few questions on the pallet signs, the pallet projects, things like that. I end up answering a lot of the same questions on there, just phrased a little bit differently. But it's obvious to me that a lot of you need help with a lot of different projects, and that some of the things that I'm posting videos of are starting to really take off. You guys are really starting to become more interactive, so I wanted to try and see how this works out. This may or may not be a thing, but I'm hoping to do this once a week, maybe an hour, half an hour. I'll probably just start out with a half an hour tonight, because I really don't have anything going as far as viewership right now, so there's probably not going to be a lot of you, but that should grow. There should be more questions, and of course everything is super chat enabled, so if you want to click down below and get involved in that, that's fine. And me and technology, in case you didn't realize it, me and technology, we don't get along that great. I have trouble with smartphones. I have trouble with computers and laptops. I just got off a conference call with my cousin who helped me set all this stuff up, because apparently I didn't even have all the files downloaded that I need to have downloaded. So that being said, if you give me a rock or a stick, like I said, I can make you something out of that. But when it comes to computers, hey, I'm all thumbs. So I'm clicking around here, and I just want to see. I've got 5 viewers now. That to me, that's a home run. I'm happy with that all day. But in any event, I want to be able to answer a lot of your questions on here, rather than just type them out, because sometimes a lot of the questions you have, they need an elaborate answer. They need something more than typing. I would have to type a whole book to answer a question, and sometimes I need to show you visually what's going on. Hey, I see Eric and Smokescreen are on here. And I see Nathan Gordon. Your question: I'm redoing a bathroom, and I'm wondering how I should go about waterproofing the lip of the shower pan with the bottom of the backboard. Should I just mortar it when I install the tile? That's a really good question. I'm guessing that you're going with a preformed, some sort of acrylic shower pan. Is that correct? Either square or rectangular in shape. When you get these pans, they're fiberglass or they're acrylic, one way or the other. They're pretty lightweight. You drop them in, it's a ready-made pan, and it's got a little lip on it, maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch tall. Then your backboard will come down your studs and, of course, overlap in front of that lip. And then you screw your backboard on, and that lip, any water that would happen to get behind your tile and make it through your grout and make it through your thin set, and they would hit the backboard, would in theory roll down the backboard, hit the lip. You can run a bead of a clear or a white 100% silicone caulk along that lip if you would like to do that. You could just put your layer of thin set, that you're running your tile, you put your layer of thin set on there, but you're going to do that anyway. So that would be my advice, is to take a layer of, or a bead, of white or clear, not acrylic, but a silicone caulk, 100% silicone. GE makes one, and they comes in white, it comes in clear. I know you can get it at Lowe's, you can most likely get it at Home Depot, but that is a higher quality silicone, and that will definitely do the job. That stuff will last for a very long time, Nathan. So if that is a concern, water getting up in there and wicking behind, and honestly, when it's coming over, when that backboard's coming over the edge of that shower pan, in order for it to get down that wall and then go back and then climb up the wall and then shoot over and go back down the lip to get behind it, it's quite a trek. But over time, the backboard, the cement board, it can wick up moisture, and wicking up meaning that, like if you've ever seen the underside of a house, when you have the block piers going up, if there's water in the crawl space, those block pillars are porous. They will actually soak up that water, or what's called wick up that water, like a sponge, and start to deliver it up to the bottom of your wood rafters, and it can rot out your wood rafters. So you can get that kind of going on with some of your backer boards, some of your hardy backer and your cement board, things like that. It could wick up in there and then potentially get back. So it's a really good idea to put that 100% silicone caulk bead all along there. And honestly, you can run it down all your verticals too between your boards. And then they also make a product, I know Lowe's carries it, called Aqua Defense. It comes in a 1 gallon tub about this big. It's called Aqua Defense. It's fairly expensive. It's $50 for that gallon tub, somewhere around $50. And you can use a paint roller and actually roll that on, and it creates sort of a waterproof membrane over the top of that backer board. So I hope that answers your question. In any event, when I don't have questions, I think I'll just start trying to talk about some of the things that I've got going on around here. The latest project that we've had going on, which has been a week-long project. My wife and I are both sunburned. You're very welcome, Nathan. Thanks. And the Red Guard works well too. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's another good waterproofer. But we've got the pond project going on. It's been about 5 or 6 days. We've completely rebuilt our pond. We dug our pond by hand with a shovel. It's almost 3,000 gallons. Thank you, Brand the Builder. I see that. And thank you, Smokescreen and Eric Milton. I saw that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the help there. That's a lot to me. That's huge. Thanks. But anyway, the pond is a really big deal. We love it. It's right off our deck. We've put a lot of time and effort into redoing it. We built it a little over a year ago. And we've had a few ponds that we've done in the past at past houses, and we've learned from our mistakes. The problem with the first version of the pond we did in the backyard originally was everything was on such a shoestring budget. We didn't have the proper equipment, and I ended up making a DIY filter. I ended up making a DIY pond liner instead of going out and buy expensive liners. I used an old pool liner that we had. The waterfall itself was just built out of more of the liner instead of a waterfall box. And if you know anything about ponds, I mean, you can spend very little money and nothing work correctly, and it'd be a completely inefficient system, and you've basically made a green algae mud hole in your backyard. The frogs will love it, but you'll never see your fish if they survive. And it's not beautiful, it's not ornamental. So what we've done now, we've still got a little bit more work to go on it. But it's only rocks around the outside. It's just some of the coping around the outside that just kind of makes the transition from the side wall of the pond to the grass. But in any event, it's 90% complete. And now the water stays clear. The UV light is keeping up and killing the algae. The waterfall box has several layers of filtering in it to be a mechanical filter, and to keep debris and small particles of dust and dirt and whatever would blow in there. We don't have any established trees in the backyard, so we don't have a big problem with leaves. But when you don't have any trees to provide you the shade, then that sun just bakes it all day. And right now it's the beginning of May down south here, so the humidity's starting to pick up, the temperature's starting to pick up. By the time you hit July and August down here, it's going to be 90, 100 degrees with 90% humidity, and there's not going to be any wind, so it's going to be crazy hot and it's going to be crazy muggy. And if that sun cooks that pond for 9 hours a day, and you don't have some sort of a UV light, some sort of a system to kill the DNA in that algae, to disrupt the DNA in the algae, it's going to take over, and it's going to take over fast. I'm talking a day, 2, 3 days, and your pond will look completely different than it did. Hold on a second. Yeah, anyway. So, we're in love with the pond. We have 8 fish. That's been our project. I noticed a lot of you are asking me about the fireplace. I've got 2 fireplace videos up on there. They're both done with ledger panel stone, but I did it 2 different ways. And one I did more traditional with a mantle and a hearth, and it was sort of a remake of a brick fireplace. It was a makeover. And the one that we did here in our home is more modern. No hearth, no mantle, just a sheer wall of rock. Polly, my wife, said, tell them about the fish caves. Yes, we have 2 fish caves now. You have to protect your fish from the sun. They will get sunburned, and they also need protection from predators. We got coyotes and all kinds of stuff in the backyard. It's like a jungle in our backyard. So anyway, yes, we have 2 fish caves. Eric Melton, just a thought, maybe put a couple evergreens around the pond, provide some shade, and you won't have leaf problems. That's very true because they stay evergreen and they don't drop leaves. They will drop a little bit of debris, but I have a skimmer box on one side. So when the debris falls, there's a nice pull. I've got a 5,100 gallon per hour pump pulling into that skimmer box. So that when something hits the surface of the water, it should float for a little bit before getting saturated and falling to the bottom. And in that time, it should be able to pull over into the skimmer box and the debris should be cleared out. Yeah, we will definitely be putting some evergreens around there. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. P. Ditsta. I guess that's it. How long are your toenails? I hadn't measured them in at least a couple of weeks. I'm not real sure. You want that in metric or standard? I don't know. I have to get back to you on that. Anyway, so the fireplace video, the first one, has a lot of views. It's our fireplace. It's in our house. The second one that I posted not long ago, I think it was about 2 months ago, it was in a customer's house. I don't know how closely any of you are following the channel, but OurHouse Makeovers and Handyman Services is the company that my wife and I started at the beginning of the year. We do a lot of different things for a lot of different people in a lot of different places. And so anyway, we did this fireplace in a customer's house, and they had a brick fireplace with a brass and a nasty old 1992 brass set of doors on the front of it. And the mantle was just a plain white mantle. They wanted everything changed. They wanted it a little more rustic. They wanted to bring in some natural wood colors, and they wanted to bring in stone. So I put stone caps on top of it. Anyway, you can see the video. It's on the channel. Go check it out. Do you polish your What is the toenail thing? I don't understand that. Do you polish your toenails? Only every other week. Measure them now. I don't have my tape measure on me. Sorry, dude. This has got to be some of Chris's people coming in on me. It's got to be. Yeah. Anyway. So, if any of you have any projects going on right now, or you're planning a project down the road, and you need a little bit of guidance or some help, or you need to know about some products, or you need to know about some tools, I'm going to try and do this once a week to be able to answer questions like that and be a source for you other than just the comment section. You can definitely leave the comments at the bottom of the videos, and I'll get to all the questions. I check them every day. There's not such a high volume right now coming in that I can't keep up with it. Until it gets to that point, I will still continue to every single day as fast as I can respond to your comments and try and answer your questions. But as far as tools go, I do get some questions from time to time, not only from people watching the videos, but just people out in my daily life that I run into that want to know about what kind of tools I prefer, what kind of tools I buy and that I keep. And I've had several different brands, so I thought maybe I would spend a few minutes telling you a little bit about some of the battery-operated tools. And I go with a lot of battery-operated tools, as many as I can. And honestly, that's why I picked the latest system that I bought. I had before this a Porter cable set. Before that, I've had Cobalt. I've had cheap Black & Decker, which Black & Decker's actually come a long way. Click 3 dots. Anyway. Okay. Anyhow, the system that I have now, I'll tell you a little bit about that. I did a lot of research before I bought a set. Brandon the Builder, what part of the South are you in? I heard you mention it. Get a lot of free pallets is why I ask. Well, I could use some free pallets. Actually, my pallet stock has gone down. I usually keep quite a stock out in the garage, but I'm about out right now. I haven't gone and collected any. I am in North Carolina, the central area of North Carolina, in what we call the Piedmont, not too far from Charlotte. So it's the middle of the state, and it does get really hot here. It's not Louisiana swamp hot. Don't get me wrong. I've been in the swamps of Louisiana in the dead of summer. In Mississippi, it's bad. Florida, I swear, you're driving down I-95. As soon as you cross the state line, it says "Welcome to Florida." You're 100% humidity. It doesn't matter if it's wintertime or not. You're going to fry. Anyway, the system that I bought was the Ryobi 1 system. They come with a lithium plus 18 volt ion battery. And a lot of people would say, "Oh man, Ryobi, that's cheap tools, whatever." Let me tell you something. I put my tools to the test. I beat them up, I drop them, I bang them. They take on dust, they take on debris, they get wet, they're muddy. I mean, I put them through hell. And these tools just take a licking and keep on ticking. I've had them forever. So the good thing about the Ryobi 1 Plus system is that this battery can power any tool that Ryobi has. And they have a lot. If you look around at DeWalt or Cobalt or Porter Cable or Milwaukee or any of the other battery powered systems out there that offer a bunch of tools, there's nobody that has as many tools as Ryobi has. I have a trim nailer, and this is one of the main reasons I bought the set, is because I wanted a battery operated trim nailer to nail shoe mold, to nail, window casing, door casing, window sills, anything like that down. It'll shoot up to a 2.5-inch nail, and anything as small as a 5/8. I believe it's 18 gauge, which is speaking how thick the nail is, what gauge it is. The higher the number, the thinner it is. Anyway, that being said, I priced a lot of those guns. I used to have the pass load guns. I had the gas charges. They took a battery and they took a gas charge. And keeping up with the gas charges was crazy. It was insane in charging the batteries. These, you only have to have the battery. Now, they don't have a framing nailer. A framing nailer, it's just too powerful. A battery won't drive it. But with these, the gun for this was $100, the nail gun. Any other company, you look at Porter Cable, you look at DeWalt, and you're talking $200, $300, $400 for that same type of gun. So it's insane how cheap the tools are for the Ryobi kit. This is an oscillating tool. I know you've probably seen some of these, some version of this. This is the most important tool in my bag. That I got with the battery for under $100. Oscillating tools are great for cutting door jambs when you're doing flooring or when you're doing like tile or laminate. They're great for cutting coping. They're great for scrolling out. They're great for cutting sheetrock. I mean, you can cut all kinds of stuff with it. So definitely you need to get an oscillating tool with your set. It's just another one of I think there's 140 tools. And in that 140 tools that Ryobi offers, it's probably the most important tool they have. All right. So I'm doing that, Chris. I'm doing that. Okay. Not working. Anyway. So do any of you have any more questions? I've probably been going for about 20 minutes. I'm sure you're getting tired of me rambling. Is there anything you'd like me to talk about? Is there any questions you have for me? Is there anything you want to know about some of the projects we've done around OurHouse? I would really love a question at this time because I'm just gonna be rambling. It's just not gonna be pretty. You're not gonna like it. I promise. Okay, I see Smokescreen. You made yourself a moderator. He hacked my system and got in and made himself a moderator. Thanks, appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Guess we had a couple of people. It's with the toenails. I don't know. I don't measure my toenails every week. It's only every now and then. So that's a little bit about the tools that I use. I told you about the pond. You know about the fireplace. Everybody's watched the fireplace videos. I have other videos on there. Tons of them. Cornhole boards, how to build an ottoman. Brand the Builder says, what's your favorite kind of projects? All right. My favorite kinds of projects are the ones that make me have to figure something out. The fireplaces, they're great, and at the end you get that wow factor with them. But those projects where you're trying to do something that nobody's done before, or you're trying to figure out how to make something pop into existence that it seems physically impossible, that's my favorite kind of projects. Figuring out how to make one thing look like another, or how to take a product that you think, well, you have to go buy one of those, you can't make that, and doing that, figuring out how to antique things in a way to make them look like they're old and like they've been sitting outside for a long time, trying different techniques, painting techniques, things like that. I like all that stuff. So those are my favorite kinds of projects. Okay, my wife is asking, now you're on the spot. Again, I ask, when is the backsplash getting grouted? First of all, you type backlash, not backsplash. But I know what you mean. The backsplash getting grouted. Well, half of it's done. So technically you could just say I'm on a long break and I'm already getting it done. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's a good thing you're outside right now and you ain't in here, because I'd be getting smacked. All right. Chris at Smokescreen plans to film new projects for YouTube. Yeah, I think I'm going to put together sort of a slideshow. We've been taking pictures of the pond as we built it, and then the transition into modifying the pond and reclaiming the pond and all that. I think I'm going to turn it into a slideshow video with narration and all that, so that you can see the transition that took place and just how far it's come along. So I definitely want to do one of those. And I might actually put out the proper way to paint a room. Painting is something that a lot of people do to their rooms. Everybody thinks that that's the ultimate DIY project to tackle, but a lot of people are intimidated by painting a room. They're scared to death of it. They don't know how to do it. And then a lot of people actually go out and spend a lot of money on a lot of gimmicks and a whole lot of stuff that they don't need, when they can just, if they would just take a look at how people paint rooms who know how to paint rooms, it really doesn't take that long. It's really not that big a deal, and you don't have to have all those gadgets and all that stuff. So I'll be doing some of those. Let's see. If you're plastering a wall, how thick do you spread the multi-finish on the wall? And then there's at the end of that. If you're plastering a wall, how thick do you spread the multi-finish on the wall? That sounds almost like there might be something lost in translation. Maybe you were overseas, Charlie, and the multi-finish. I'm not sure. I'm not real familiar with that term, but I'm assuming that you're talking about the mud, the sheetrock mud, when you're trying to do sheetrock. I'm not the most well versed at sheetrock, but in Ireland, boyo, yeah, there's got to be. So anyway, I'm not the most well versed when it comes to sheetrock, but I do know a few things, and I do know how to make repairs to sheetrock. I'm just not used to running full sheets and then taping and buttoning it off. I do know how it's done, but I'm not the best at it. As far as how thick to lay it on, I know on the first coat, when if you've got a butt joint or if you've got a tapered joint, it's going to be a little bit different, because a tapered joint, the two sections of wall coming together, they feather in a little bit. They're tapered, so you're going to be a little bit thicker there behind your tape. But basically, when you do a joint, you got to run your paper tape down it. You're going to run a layer of mud first, and I don't know, maybe a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch of mud on that first layer. Then set your tape in it, and then hold the top of it in place. Run your knife down it, kind of squeegeeing it out. You don't want to scrape too hard. You don't really want to scrape against it, but you want to push the excess out from behind it, and then push it from the center up that way, so that you get out the excess. Let that dry, come back, put another layer on, and I would say at that joint, you're going to feather it on either side, because if your seam is vertical, it's going to be thicker where the two meet, and then it's going to thin itself out as it goes away. So on that second layer, you're probably going to be somewhere around 1/8 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch in the middle, and it's going to feather out to nothing over, maybe 10 inches on either side. Let it dry again, come back, third coat, same thing, kind of feather it out, only this time you're going to feather it out further, maybe go 16, 18 inches on each side of the tape. Then you go back after all that set up and you sand it down. A lot of people try and sand in between coats. That's not necessary. You don't have to do that. If you're using your knife correctly and you're drawing it down and kind of smoothing it out as you go, you should not have to sand in between coats. So, yeah, my wife's not happy about the the backsplash. I'll tell you the story. We got a backsplash in the kitchen that we did about 1.5 years ago, and it's still not all grouted. A lot of my projects end up falling by the wayside because of work and other things, and then sometimes we just get sidetracked on another project and we have to come back to things, and so some little things need finishing touches, and that the grout on the tile backsplash in the kitchen is one of them. Sorry. Anyway, I thought you were doing the grout anyway. I thought I was teaching you to grout. You're supposed to be in there getting the float and getting the sponge and doing it all. It's not for me to do. My part's done. Anyway, it's getting close to 6:30. I think I've answered most of your questions. If anybody has a last minute question you want to slide in here, that'll be great. I'll be glad to answer it. I think I'm gonna cut this short at 6:30 tonight. Like I said, if you guys want to see a weekly show where I'm answering more questions rather than just rambling on about my own stuff, and you can actually come to me and hit me up with questions or things you might have about your projects or tools or whatever it might be on your mind, or ask me questions about the channel too. Let me know. Leave me some comments. This video will go and be posted on YouTube after this. You can leave me some comments in the section. I'll see what kind of feedback I get on it. If it's positive, and it's enough, then I'll try to do it once a week. If maybe it's not so positive and maybe it's not too many people seem that interested in it, then maybe I'll try and do something once a month. I'll do a monthly Q&A. But in any event, I'll try and make each show 1 hour to be able to get everybody in. And let's see, Charlie, when you're pile driving posts in the ground, what do you look like? Oh my God. All right, so now my wife's saying she's cooking chicken. When I pile drive posts in the ground, well, I've done that a few times. Done it the easy way, done it the hard way. And I probably look like an idiot when I do it. That's just my guess. I mean, I'm not holding up a mirror and look at myself when I'm doing it. I guess I could ask somebody. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. All right, Brand the Builder. Besides sheetrocking, any other you don't like doing? Well, it's not necessarily that I don't like sheetrocking. I just don't do a lot of it. It's just not my specialty. Sheetrocking and finishing sheetrock, it's a little bit of an art form. It takes an eye. It takes a touch. It takes a skill that you have to develop over time. Other than sheetrocking, let's see, is there something that I don't like doing? I hate demolition. I hate demo. I know most people are like, oh man, I can't wait to get in there and tear stuff up. Demo to me is the worst part of the job, and I'll leave you with this because I feel pretty passionately about this, and I get this question from time to time. I hate demo. I hate having to tear anything out, period. Even if it's old, even if it's dilapidated, even if it's out of date, I get no pleasure in destroying anything. My pleasure comes from creating. My pleasure comes from building things. My true pleasure comes from putting smiles on people's faces when I do something for them. At the end of a job, whether I'm being paid for it, or whether I'm helping out a neighbor, or whether I'm helping out my mom, or whether I'm just doing it for myself, or for my wife, or for my daughter, or whoever I'm doing the project for. At the end of that job, if that person is not over the moon with what I have done for them, I am genuinely disappointed. I am heartbroken. And it really affects me. And it's not like I'm going to bust that into tears in front of you, but my soul is crushed. If at the end of the job you look at it and you go, yeah, this is all right, this is nice. I'm really, that's just keep your money, because I'm crushed. That's what I work for. I can go get a paycheck anywhere, but but I do these jobs to put smiles on people's faces. That's what I like doing. So I hate demo. I love making people smile. I'm missing some of these comments. My wife says he hates tiling floors. Yeah, I'm trying to get out of the floor tiling business if possible because it just wears you down. When you're mixing gear, what's your sand to cement ratio? When you're mixing gear, what's your sand cement ratio? Okay, gear, I'm guessing, since is another Irish term. I'm guessing that you're talking about mortar, brick mortar. You're either talking about brick mortar or you're talking about tile mortar. All right. When it comes to brick mortar, you can buy a premix, or you can put 3 shovels of sand to 1 shovel of mortar mix, type S. So, your comments, I'm missing your comments. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to go up. How much muck can you horse up a wall? All right, Charlie, you're going to get the gold star for questions on this particular video. Maybe next time I'll have out my Irish dictionary and I'll be able to translate Irish into English. I used to be a brick mason, by the way, Charlie. So yeah, I've as far as how much muck can I horse up a wall? Yeah, I've horsed a lot of muck up stairs and up scaffold and forklifts and ladders and all that. And I've horsed it down into the ground too, in basements and crawl spaces and things like that. So yeah, I've done my share of hard work. I've definitely handled a lot of muck. So guys, I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off, and I'll see you next time. I think I'm going to try this again next week. Let me know if this is a good day of the week to do it. Let me know if it's a good time. Should I move it closer to the weekend? Should I be more on the beginning of the week? Let me know. Thanks, you guys.